Oh, this Justin and Blake tea is getting messy, y'all. Word is that Blake Lively was ready to leave Ryan Reynolds, and the name at the center of it all is Justin Baldoni. Now, alleged leaked text messages are surfacing online, painting a very different picture of Blake and Ryan's so-called perfect marriage. And let's just say, things aren't looking so perfect anymore. So, what really went down? And how did Justin end up tangled in this drama? Let's start with the lawsuit. Blake recently updated her claims, but instead of making her case stronger, it seems to be falling apart. The harder she tries to prove her point, the less people are convinced. Meanwhile, Justin has been pulling out receipts that cast doubt on Blake's story. Take the intimacy coordinator situation. For example, Blake claimed there wasn't one on set, but Justin provided proof that she actually refused to meet with the coordinator. That's why he ended up reviewing the intimate scenes with her himself, which Blake later called inappropriate. Then there's the harassment claim. Blake accused Justin of crossing a line by telling her she smelled good. But according to Justin, that moment happened right after Blake mentioned her spray tan rubbing off on him. To me, that doesn't sound like harassment. It sounds more like she was fishing for a compliment.
I'm probably getting spray tan on you.
It smells good.
Well, it's not that. It's my body makeup.
Now, in what looks like a desperate attempt to save face, Blake's updated lawsuit is banking on two female co-stars backing her up. She's basically saying, if I'm going down, I'm taking y'all with me. A spokesperson for Blake claimed the lawsuit doesn't name these alleged witnesses to protect their privacy. But according to The Hollywood Reporter, the two women in question are Jenny Slate and Isabella Frey. Jenny's a seasoned actress, while Isabella is brand new, and thanks to this mess, her big debut is already being overshadowed. Blake's team insists these women gave her permission to use their texts in the case, and that they'll support her when it's time to testify. The updated complaint now alleges that Blake wasn't the only one accusing Justin of misconduct, that multiple people supposedly faced threats, harassment, and intimidation. But here's where things get murky. Jenny's HR complaint, for example, reportedly had nothing to do with Justin. Instead, it was about her New York City apartment during filming. She claimed she felt uncomfortable when Wayfair executive Jamie Heath offered to reimburse her security deposit and made comments about motherhood and the sanctity of being a mom. Like, what does that even mean? Some sources say Jamie was just trying to be polite, and the whole situation got twisted. As for Isabella, things get even more confusing. Publicly, she has praised Justin as an amazing director who made the set feel safe and welcoming. Back in May 2023, Justin texted her saying, "You did awesome today. So happy to be working with you." She replied with, "Thank you for being a great director and so wonderful to work with." A month later, she doubled down, texting him about how he created a safe space, how the experience would stay with her for life, and even sent him a developed photo as a keepsake. But now, suddenly, she's supposed to testify against him. Too many people, that screams somebody, probably Blake, got in her ear, and honestly, it wouldn't be the first time. Blake herself once admitted to doing something similar back in 2008 during Gossip Girl. She said she poisoned the cast against Penn Badgley just because she was mad he got hired. Eventually, she had to backtrack once everyone realized Penn was actually chill. It's a pattern. Even actor Armie Hammer, despite his own messy reputation, claimed Blake was unbearable to work with, and rumors swirled that she even got him fired. The contradictions don't stop there. In her lawsuit, Blake claims that on June 8, 2023, another actor confided in her about struggling to work with Justin. Blake allegedly responded that she struggled too, but masked it with busyness, adding that they were both survivors of shared trauma. But here's the kicker. The very next day, on June 9th, Blake was texting Justin about grabbing him a hot matcha, and on June 10th, after a rough production week, Justin texted her, thanking her for giving 110%. Her response, "Thanks so much for this text. I appreciate your empathy and I give it in return." So which is it? Survivor of trauma or a grateful coworker bringing him drinks and trading kind messages? The math just isn't MOA thing at this point. Justin must be losing his mind at how contradictory the whole thing looks. And it's nowhere near over. A judge has already set the trial date for March 2026. And neither side is showing any interest in mediation. Justin's lawyer came out swinging, calling Blake's revised lawsuit unsubstantiated hearsay, and hinting that some of her initial supporters are now backing away. And honestly, looking at how shaky the evidence seems, can you blame them? Meanwhile, the only evidence Blake seems to have in her corner right now is Ryan Reynolds clowning the situation during the Saturday Night Live 50th anniversary special. Like, girl, this is serious business, and your husband is out here turning it into a punchline. That alone speaks volumes.
Ryan Reynolds, how's it going?
Great. Why? What have you heard?
Little did Ryan know that his skit would quickly spiral into a full-on PR disaster, making people side-eye Blake's entire narrative. Because honestly, if her claims are as serious as she says, why is her own husband out here turning it into a comedy routine? Even Justin's lawyer didn't hold back, pointing out, "I'm unaware of anybody, frankly, whose wife has been sexually harassed and has made jokes about that type of situation." And he's got a point. If this was truly a traumatic event, would Ryan really be cracking jokes about it on stage? And here's where it gets even messier. According to veteran SNL insider Wally Forston, who's been with the show since 1990, Ryan didn't just slip up with an off-the-cuff remark. He confirmed Ryan deliberately changed his joke at the last minute to make it about the lawsuit. In other words, this wasn't an accident. Ryan chose to lean into the drama.
That was actually, he had a different line in rehearsal, and he pitched that to replace it. So that was his idea to do it. We wouldn't want to do anything too controversial unless they were in on it. So yeah, that was his line. That was his idea to do it.
Blake Lively, Ryan Reynolds, and Justin Baldoni. 3 names that, until recently, you wouldn't expect to see tangled in the same headline. But now they're at the center of one of Hollywood's messiest scandals. On the surface, it looks like a harassment and defamation lawsuit. Underneath, it's a high-stakes power game fueled by PR spin, billionaire influence, and contradictions that keep piling up. Blake's amended lawsuit claims she and her family have suffered extreme emotional distress. She argues that not only her, but Ryan and their children have been devastated by Justin's alleged behavior. Here's the problem. Making that claim opens the door for court discovery, which means private therapy notes, medical records, and even school reports for her kids could be dragged into the case. That's not something most celebrities want aired out. But what makes this claim even weaker is the public image. Blake and Ryan were just on Saturday Night Live, laughing, cracking jokes, and making the lawsuit into a comedy sketch. Even Justin's lawyer called it out, saying no husband would joke about harassment if his wife was truly traumatized. If this was as serious as Blake says, why is Ryan making light of it in front of millions? Receipts tell a different story too. Back in May 2023, Blake texted a friend calling Justin and his colleague creeps, ranting about them in graphic terms. 2 days later, she filed her complaint to Sony. On paper, it looks like she raised the alarm and others backed her up. But Justin's countersuit paints another picture that Blake often threatened to walk off set whenever she wanted leverage. By doing so, she forced the studio to bend to her demands. Was the complaint really about harassment, or was it just another power move? And let's not forget the breastfeeding allegation. In her original lawsuit, Blake accused Justin of barging into her trailer while she was nursing her baby. The claim was shocking until Justin pulled out text messages proving she actually invited him in. Suddenly, that allegation disappeared from her amended lawsuit. If it were true, why not double down? Why erase it? The biggest contradiction might be around creative control. Blake was only an actress with honorary producer credit. Yet, somehow, she managed to screen her own cut of the movie before the actual director did. That doesn't happen unless someone is pulling strings. Justin says she repeatedly threatened to quit if she didn't get her way, and Sony, desperate to keep her attached, caved. In fact, Blake once admitted in an old Forbes interview that she enjoyed hiding her push for creative control while pretending to be just the actress. That makes her current victim narrative even shakier. Then there's the sexy comment. Blake accused Justin of harassment after he allegedly told her she looked sexy on set. But context matters. The room was 90 degrees. She was wearing a coat over her costume, and Justin asked her to remove it for continuity. Meanwhile, Blake herself has constantly used the word sexy to describe her wardrobe and roles, even bragging about making women's suits sexy in a simple favor. When she says it, it's empowering. When Justin says it, suddenly it's harassment. The texts tell an even deeper story. In April 2023, Blake messaged Justin about her love language, being playful, teasing, and ball-busting, even writing that it was important he served it back. But in court, she reframed his responses as harassment. The kicker, Justin's actual replies stayed professional. He redirected the conversation back to the movie and mentioned his family. If he was the aggressor, why do the receipts show the opposite? And then comes the billionaire subplot. Blake's lawsuit drags in Steve Sarowitz, Wayfair's co-founder, who she claims threatened to protect the studio with 2 dead bodies, minimum. He insists it was figurative, but the energy is unsettling. She also alleges he bragged about being willing to spend $100 million to destroy her life. While those comments are disturbing, they don't directly prove her case against Justin. Instead, it looks like she's trying to broaden the battlefield by targeting the entire company. Meanwhile, even Colleen Hoover, the author of It Ends With Us, seems to be pulling away. At first, she posted excitedly about Blake's involvement, but recently, she wiped Blake from her social media after briefly deactivating her account. That silence spoke volumes. When even the author is distancing herself, it doesn't bode well. At the heart of all this is a battle of narratives. Blake frames herself as the silenced victim fighting against powerful men. But every receipt that surfaces, from vanished allegations to flirty texts to contradictory interviews, chips away at her credibility. And when her own husband treats the lawsuit like a comedy sketch, the public starts questioning whether it's really trauma or just a Hollywood chess match that backfired. So the question is this: is Blake Lively exposing real misconduct? Or is this a staged power play that didn't go her way? Because right now, her Golden Girl image is cracking. And the more evidence comes out, the more it looks like her lawsuit is built on contradictions instead of truth.